Most people have never been told that one of the fastest, most nutrient-dense grains on Earth isn't actually treated like a grain at all. It's grown like a leafy green, harvested in under a month, and delivers more usable iron than spinach when handled correctly. The reason it never became mainstream isn't because it's difficult to grow. It's because it doesn't fit industrial agriculture. It matures too fast, doesn't store like maize or wheat, and gives more value when grown fresh, close to home. The plant being talked about here is amaranth, specifically the leafy types and fast-maturing grain varieties. And when it's grown intentionally, for speed and nutrient density, not just bulk seed, it becomes one of the most efficient crops you can put in the ground. What makes this plant different is how you choose to grow and harvest it. Most gardeners treat amaranth like a slow grain crop and wait for full seed heads. That's fine if the goal is storage, but if the goal is fast nutrition and high iron intake, that approach wastes its real advantage. The real power comes from cutting it young, around 21 to 30 days, when the leaves are tender and mineral content is at its peak. In trials across raised beds and open ground, harvesting at the baby leaf stage consistently produces higher nutrient density per square meter compared to waiting for maturity. The leaves at this stage are softer, less bitter, and far more usable in daily meals. Waiting longer increases biomass, but the texture toughens and the iron becomes slightly less bioavailable. The soil preparation determines whether you get wheat greens or dense, mineral-rich leaves. This is where most people get it wrong. They plant amaranth in average soil and expect results. It will grow, but it won't deliver the nutrient density this plant is known for. If the goal is high iron and fast growth, the soil has to be prepared deliberately. In a standard backyard bed, the best results come from a mix that holds nutrients but drains well. A reliable approach is working in about 5 kilograms of well-decomposed compost per square meter, combined with a handful of wood ash and a small amount of crushed eggshells. The ash provides potassium and trace minerals, while the eggshells contribute calcium, which supports strong leaf structure. Spacing also matters more than most people think. For baby leaf production, broadcasting seeds densely works better than traditional row spacing. Seeds can be scattered evenly and lightly, covered with about 0.5 centimeter of soil. This creates a thick mat of growth that can be harvested all at once or thinned gradually. Watering strategy is what controls speed, not just survival. Amaranth is often described as drought-tolerant, and that's true for mature plants. But, when pushing for rapid growth in 30 days, consistent moisture is non-negotiable. The soil should stay evenly moist, not soaked. Letting it dry out even once during early growth slows development and reduces leaf size. In practice, light watering, once in the morning, and a quick top-up in the evening during hot conditions keeps growth steady. In cooler climates or shaded beds, once a day is enough. The key is avoiding stress. Stress reduces both yield and nutrient density. In raised beds, especially those with loose soil, water drains quickly, so adding a thin mulch layer helps retain moisture. Something as simple as dry grass clippings spread lightly over the surface makes a noticeable difference. Harvest timing is where the 30-day advantage actually comes from. By the third week, you'll notice the plants reaching around 15 to 25 centimeters in height, depending on conditions. This is the window where most of the value sits. Waiting longer gives more volume, but the trade-off is tougher leaves and slightly diluted nutrients. Cutting should be done just above the soil line using a sharp blade. In many cases, the plants will regrow for a second harvest if the roots are left undisturbed. That second flush is usually ready within another 2 to 3 weeks, although it's often slightly less tender. In smaller gardens, staggered planting every 7 to 10 days keeps a continuous supply going. This approach turns a single bed into a reliable, ongoing source of fresh greens without needing large space. The iron content is real, but how you use it determines if your body actually benefits. There's a lot of exaggeration online about iron in plants, but amaranth genuinely stands out. The leaves contain significant iron levels, often higher than spinach, but absorption depends on preparation. Cooking lightly improves availability. A quick sauté or steaming for a few minutes breaks down compounds that interfere with absorption. Pairing it with a source of vitamin C, like tomatoes or lemon juice, increases how much iron the body can use. Raw consumption works, especially in very young leaves, but relying only on raw intake limits how much iron is actually absorbed. That's where many people go wrong when they compare plants. It works in small spaces, but honestly, it really shines when scaled even just a little bit. In a small backyard, a single square meter can produce several kilograms of greens in a month. That's already more than enough for regular use. But scaling it to even 5 or 10 square meters changes the equation completely. At that level, it becomes a staple crop, not just a supplement. It fills the same role that spinach or kale would, but grows faster and handles heat better. In warmer regions where traditional greens struggle, this plant just keeps producing. Even in containers, it performs well if depth is at least 20 centimeters. The key is maintaining fertility, since nutrients get used up quickly in dense plantings. Hydroponic systems can push growth even further, but only if done carefully. Amaranth adapts well to hydroponics, especially in systems like nutrient film technique or shallow media beds. Growth rates increase noticeably, and harvest can come a few days earlier than soil-grown plants. However, nutrient strength needs to stay moderate. An EC around 1.2 to 1.6 works best. Pushing higher levels can lead to rapid but weak growth, where leaves are large but lack density and flavor. pH should stay between 6.0 and 6.5 for optimal nutrient uptake. Outside this range, iron availability drops, which kind of defeats the purpose of growing this plant for its mineral content. Lighting also plays a role. Strong, consistent light increases leaf thickness and nutrient concentration. Weak light leads to stretched, pale plants that really don't deliver the same value. There's a reason this never became a global staple, despite how effective it is. Crops that dominate globally are easy to store, transport, and standardize. Amaranth, when used this way, doesn't fit. The fresh leaf stage, which is where most of the nutritional value is, doesn't last long after harvest. That makes it ideal for home growers, but honestly, less appealing for large-scale distribution systems. It's not that it was kept secret in a deliberate way. It simply stayed where it works best, close to the people growing and consuming it. In many African farming systems, this plant has always been part of daily food production because it fits the rhythm of small-scale, continuous harvesting. It doesn't require large infrastructure, and it responds quickly to effort. What actually works best is treating it as a fast-cycle crop, not a one-time harvest. The biggest shift comes from how you think about it. Instead of planting once and harvesting once, it performs better as a repeating cycle. Small, frequent plantings, quick harvests, and immediate replanting keep the system productive. That approach aligns with how serious growers operate. It maximizes output per space and keeps the soil active. Roots are constantly feeding microbes, and organic matter is continuously cycled. This is where the plant stops being just another green and becomes part of a system that produces consistently without long waiting periods. The value here isn't just that it grows in 30 days, it's that it gives back more per unit time than most crops people rely on. When space, time, and nutrition all matter, that combination is hard to beat. Garden Guru focuses on these kinds of practical, high-return crops that actually change how much food a garden can produce. If this kind of approach makes sense, subscribe and share the video so more growers can start using methods that deliver real results instead of just filling space.